So the best way to describe Jonathan was he was such a selfless person. He wanted the best for everyone, and he always made you feel like you had his undivided attention, and he had a way of making you feel like the world just revolved around you. We just understood each other, and he was my best friend, so everything that we did together was the best case scenario, no matter what the situation was. We had had multiple miscarriages, so we had to do IVF in order to become pregnant. And we found out at 32 weeks that Braden had a severe neurological condition. In a situation like that, it'll either make or break a couple. We just really came together, and we were the best parents. And not to toot our own horn, but our foundation was so solid that it was scary, but we always did it together, and it never felt like a burden. It always felt like a blessing. We had Braden in November 2017, and then our daughter Penelope surprised us and was born on June 2nd, 2019. Jonathan was the most amazing dad, and I know everyone always says that their partner or significant other is the best dad, but the sun rose and set on our kids and on me. He was more than just a spouse or a best friend. He was my teammate, and we always used to say, with any situation with the kids, but especially with Braden, that if we didn't have each other, we couldn't get through it. March 2020, the beginning of March, Jonathan had started really paying attention to COVID. It had started to come into the United States and had started spreading. He worked as a probation officer, so he was in a high volume area, and they're in close quarters. And of course, with Braden, we've always taken significant health precautions because he's immunocompromised. So he was very, very worried about it. Jonathan was exposed to COVID on March 13th, and we didn't know it at the time. We found out he was positive on the 25th of March, and at that point, I could hear him coughing, but it wouldn't stop. Like, he couldn't get that breath in between his coughs. So the next morning, the 26th, he called his doctor, and they said, why don't you go to the hospital? They're going to give you some nebulizer treatments, but you're faring pretty well, but we just want to make sure. He was a typical, healthy 32-year-old, and COVID just leveled him. At one point, they told me to prepare the family that they didn't believe he was going to make it. I FaceTimed with him that evening, and he was obviously sedated, but I yelled at him, don't you dare leave me. You can't do it. Like, I'm not ready to do this without you. Like, don't leave me. He passed April 22nd, 2020. The last 2 years have been hell. I keep waiting for a time where I'm gonna get numb and I can just sort of live with the loss. It's hard when every single day is a reminder that the biggest part of your life is gone and they're never coming back. My son's getting ready to go to preschool, and we have an IEP meeting, and I don't have anybody that's waiting to hear from me to talk about it. My daughter started walking, and it was just me there. Missing your best friend and missing that part of you, you just no longer feel complete. But my kids get me out of bed every morning. I can't quit on them. They don't deserve it. It would be the biggest injustice to Jonathan if I just stopped being a present parent, because we waited so long to be parents and he never really even got to enjoy it. And that, to me, is the most evil part of it. We finally had the life that we always wanted, and then this virus came along and just took him from it. The kids are resilient. I think people underestimate the willpower of kids when it comes to this. They obviously feel the void that has been left with Jonathan not being here, but they're doing so great. Brayden is walking with a walker. He's got a communication device which helps him talk to us now. Penelope is like the little class clown and just over the top with everything.
Show me your silly face. Show me your sad face.
Making sure the kids know their dad and love their dad in an authentic way has been my only goal that I've had. But they both, when you're around them or you're with them, you just get this feeling that this is Jonathan and this is who made them and who's part of them. And it's been the one reassuring blessing that I've had is I have two perfect little people that are exactly what their dad was.